What is up guys, it's your boy Solheim here, back with another Classic WoW video for Season of Discovery. Now today's video is kind of huge. We have the actual release date now for Phase 2, and this came out last night. I'm kind of late on the train here, but I wanted to collect my thoughts and go through the entire thing about Phase 2 and speculate a little bit as well, based on the few hints that we actually have. So today I'll be showing you the announcement, we are going to be speculating afterwards and talking about the PvP event coming out, where it's happening, why it's happening, how it's happening, and also talking about some brand new runes that can come out in Phase 2 as well, just to spice up the meta of pretty much everything. So here's the announcement first of all, and I'm quoting Josh's tweet here because he also replies to some tweets which gives us some further information that we're going to take a look at after the announcement itself. So first of all, Season of Discovery Phase 2 is live on February 8th. From the time of me uploading this video, that's about 4.5 weeks, or 4 weeks and 2 or 3 days, so roughly 4 weeks away, right, for Phase 2. That means that we have a lot of time, and usually Blizzard makes it so they don't really announce things too far ahead of time. Like even for expansion releases, they don't really give us that much time all the time, and definitely not for phases. We do not get like the biggest phase prep time or like announcement time. They are very happy to give us like 2 weeks, which if you have a job and you want to get paid time off, like for me in the past, that's been very difficult for phases. For expansions, we usually get 1 or 2 months ahead of time, so we can schedule time off, but I was really worried for Phase 2 that they would only give us 1 or 2 weeks prep time, but now they have announced Phase 2, we have the release date, and we have over 4 weeks to prep everything you need to. If you want to have time off in real life, if you want to level more alts in the game, whatever you need to do, you now have a set time for it, and you have 4 weeks to get that done. So either way, let's take a look at the Twitter here, and let me just reschedule, or not reschedule, retransform this so we can see the entire basic movie here. Alright, here we go. It's a really short clip, it's a 10-second clip, but it really gives us some information in the clips. Let's just play it from the start. It's in Strangleton Vale. Phase 2, February 8th. That is the entire clip, by the way, that is the entire announcement, but there's a couple of things here that you might, there's one thing that you might have picked up on. At least I picked up on this, and I feel like it's a hint towards something. Look at the skies and just the whole scenario around what's happening here. It's in Strangleton Vale, and we also know that the PvP event will be happening in Strangleton Vale, even though a couple of people were suggesting maybe it should be in Rothi Highlands, because Ashenvale is Warzone Gulch. You have the reputation vendors for Warzone Gulch, they're in Ashenvale, and Ashenvale is the Warzone Gulch place. Like the portal to Warzone Gulch was there as well, as at least for the Alliance, and Rothi Highlands is where you go for Rothi Basin. It's a Rothi, both of them, so that would make sense in that sense, but they've already talked about it being in Strangleton Vale, and they're going to keep talking more about that in the tweet replies as well. But pay attention to the clouds, the skies, and just the whole thematic of the zone in the next 5 seconds here. It will swap from green to orange, and then to red. It's like, if you played Terraria, for some reason this reminds me of a blood moon. It reminds me so much of a blood moon. So it has to be like some sort of blood moon or blood god or blood type of event. Just focus on massive blood in the Strangleton Vale zone. Now, to get a better hint at exactly what is going to happen in the Strangleton Vale zone, we do have some hints in the replies here that I want to take a look at. So first of all, STV is going to be a slaughterhouse. You truly have no idea how right you are. And then if I can just show more replies down here as well, there was one that I read that was kind of very interesting to me. Here we go. Is the STV PvP event going to be a new thing, or is it going to be a redux of the Ashenvale event? Completely different from Ashenvale. I think there's 2 things to keep in mind here. First of all, Bloodbath or Slaughterhouse truly no idea how right you are, and then completely different from Ashen Vale. If you have done the Ashen Vale PvP event, it's not really a PvP event. You kill bosses, and you try to kill the bosses before the enemy faction kills the bosses. Very rarely is there any PvP in the actual event itself. Every now and then you do have people trying to sabotage the other faction, but for the most part, it's a rush to kill the boss before the other enemy faction kills your boss. So it's just a PvP event, but it's a race. It's a PvE event, but it's a race between the factions, and the only PvP part is the lead up to the event itself, which also isn't really that much of a PvP anyway. So I would love to see more of a PvP focused event, which I personally think the Stranglethorn Veil could be, based on the replies we have here. First of all, the moon effect reminded me of a blood moon effect, or like blood for the old gods type of effect, where the moon turns red and there should be blood spilled. In this case, we have the slaughterhouse effect, and you truly have no idea how right you are, and then completely different from Ashen Vale. Knowing Ashen Vale was very PvE centric or PvE focused, I think Stranglethorn Veil is going to be very different, with no bosses and only PvP. Imagine this: you have the same kind of thing where you have an event happening every 3 hours or something like that, and it's a massive PvP event, kind of a team deathmatch from CSGO or whatever, where you have the first faction to get 1,000 kills wins the event, and then gets like a massive reward at the end. It's either that, like it's going to be about killing as many people from the other faction as possible, or imagine if it's tied to the chest in Gurubashi. So every 3 hours, the moon turns red, and the chest gives you some massive rewards to everyone in the faction who wins. So like it's all about being the first one to loot the chest, and whatever faction that person is on, everyone from that faction can then loot the chest, and the chest gives you reputation, gives you some items, greens, could even give you blues, right? Like a chance at blues or something could also be great. But like just some sort of event centered around what we already have, and a massive PvP scale event. I don't want to see another thing like Ashen Vale where it's only about killing some bosses, because to be honest, Ashen Vale doesn't really remind me of a PvP event at all. It's more of a PvE event, and people just go there. It's kind of like Arathi Altdrag Valley became in the end, where it's supposed to be a massive clash of like Horde versus Alliance in the middle, but what ends up happening is both of them just avoiding each other in the middle and going to the enemy base, and it's all about who can kill the boss first. And the same thing happened in Ashen Vale, and I don't want to see that happen again. So just have more of a PvP focused battle, either about getting 1,000 kills as fast as possible, like the first faction to get 1,000 kills, or have it be centered around the actual chest we have, which is already spawning on a 3-hour timer. Other than that, we have one more tweet here about the 2-handed Enhancement Shaman rune that I'm personally also looking forward to. Like, I'm slowly leveling 2 Shamans on the Horde side, only for this rune, by the way. I just want to live out my 2-handed Enhancement dream, so I'm leveling Shamans in phase 1 just to like have them prepped for phase 2 and ready to go. It's not something I'm going to focus hard on, but I just want to experience what it's like being a 2-handed actual Enhancement Shaman, right? So that's going to be fun. And going in line with that, what are some more runes that you guys would like to see in phase 2? Like, that's a topic that I want to talk about and something that I want to discuss with you guys. So if you have any suggestions, then let me know in the comments down below. I will go through a couple of my own as well. So like, for example, for me, I'm playing a Feral as my alt, and it really feels weird that we don't have any AoE abilities. So I would love to see Swipe and Thrash being usable in cat form. I don't know about Thrash. Is it even usable right now in cat form? I don't think so. Like, when we get it, I don't think so. It's only like a bear ability. But Swipe in cat form, like, we have that in Wrath and it works really well. So give us Swipe and Thrash in cat form. That way we can actually do some AoE and make tanks, like bear tanks, more competitive as well. Don't really know what they can do there to make bear tanks more competitive, but just find a way to make them more competitive. The main thing is give Ferals, because we already have quite a lot of stuff. We have Wild Strikes, we have very decent single target damage, we have Mangle. The only thing we're lacking is AoE, and having like AoE possibilities. So giving us Thrash and Swipe in cat form would be absolutely massive. And the same thing for Rogues, also once again lacking some AoE abilities. So I would love to see something like Fan of Knives, could be huge, and especially now when we have the Deadly Poison rune as well. So you have, is it called Deadly Poison? Whichever the rune is that applies Deadly Poison and Instant Poison, I think. it can apply both, right? So if you have that one with Fan of Knives, could be huge for AoE. So Fan of Knives, definitely huge. And then just make that usable with like Dagger spec, and also probably just Dagger spec as it's called Fan of Knives, and then using Blade Dance, for example, if you're playing Blade Dance, Blade Flurry, like those two, using Blade Flurry for combat, which we can in phase 2, so that's going to be great, but Fan of Knives as well could make a massive difference. And one thing that I personally want to see for rogues is a way to make subtlety spec more more actual competitive, especially in PvE, because in PvE right now you still have to play combat. Well, you don't really have to, but most rogues will play combat, which is the exact same spec we have been playing for a long time now. And there's a couple of things they can do here to make even like subtlety more competitive. Give us Shadow Step, and give us, what is it called again? Shadow Dance. That way you can use stealth abilities for 6 seconds without being in stealth. Like Shadow Dance by itself will make subtlety so much more competitive and so much fun in PvP. Imagine being able to use both Cheap Shot and Ambush in like the same global cooldown basically, or the same 2 seconds. Could be absolutely massive. Aside from that, one thing I would personally really like to see, which affects so many different classes out there, and it would be absolutely huge, because for example right now, one thing you see both on the logs and DPS meters is physical DPS vastly outperforming classes that are casting. So for example, look at the damage meters here from our last raid: Hunter, Warrior, Rogue, Feral, and then we have me as the Warlock, then we have a Mage, and then we have a Boomkin. So even though everyone was doing okay DPS, the top DPS is always going to be physical DPS, and there's one change they can make here that would make casters so much more viable. Give us access to our next rank of our next spells, or at least the ones that makes sense, and give that to us at the next level cap. So for example in phase 1 as a Warlock, imagine if we had Life Tap rank 3 and Searing Pain rank 2, which we get at level 26, which is for example for Warlock tanks, Searing Pain rank 3 or rank 2 is a pretty significant upgrade, giving them way more threat as well, helping them with the threat issue, dealing more DPS as well in this case, and it's 1 level away. What they could have done here is given this one to us in the form of a book, like a spell rank book or a spell tome, like we had in Ankiraj, and I think we had them in Sulgrub as well, basically giving us books that will teach us ranks for spells and give that to us at the next level cap, which could be for example Searing Pain, Life Tap, and even Shadow Bolt, right? Rank 5 is available at level 28, which is way better than Shadow Bolt rank 4. And in phase 2, just using Warlock once again as a example here, we have Death Coil rank 1 at level 42, could be huge to have this one at level 40 instead. Hellfire rank 2 at level 42, dealing way more AoE than Hellfire rank 1 by the way. That would be absolutely massive, giving that one to us in a spell book or a spell tome. Then we have Searing Pain once again coming through clutch, 2 levels above, like level 26, really bad for phase 1, and level 42, really bad for phase 2. So giving this one to Warlock tanks in a spell book would make a massive significant difference. Then Corruption rank 5 level 48, and even Shadow Bolt rank 7 for level 44. If you're ever using Shadow Bolt, having rank 7 over rank 6 is a massive DPS increase by the way. So if they want to make casters competitive in any case on the DPS meters, they simply have to do this. It's either that or they have to massively buff the spell power coefficients to make us benefit more from spell power. Because the thing is, right now at level, like if I just use the epic staff, if we have the epic staff from BFD, that is equivalent to a level 60 weapon, like a level 60 pre-raid bis. So what you're telling me is that casters right now, they can have a level 60 weapon and still be out DPS'd by every single melee DPS or physical DPS. Even if we have level 60 gear, something has to be done here if they want casters to be competitive on DPS at all, and I think either massively buffing the spell power coefficients or giving us spell power or like spell ranks in books or tomes could be like what they have to do here. Either way, let me know your thoughts on that in the comments down below, and let me know any future or like any additional thoughts you have in the comments down below as well. Any additional runes you want to see or class abilities for your class, once again, let me know. Either way, that's the video for today. Phase 2 has been confirmed, and it's February 8th. Thank you so much for watching, as always, and I'll see you again very soon.